Nexus is not a new name to the Element Optics range. In fact, the Nexus was the very first scope that we ever developed. But more than 3 years on, we now have a new generation Nexus, and with all the improvements that we've made to the scope, we also have new packaging and new box contents. So let's take a look at what you get when you purchase a Nexus Gen II. Let's start with the box itself. The box is a fair bit larger than the Gen 1 box, and on the side you will see Nexus Gen II, 4 to 25 by 50 first focal plane, and the reticle that you've selected. When you open up the box, you'll be greeted with a little welcome note saying, "See it, send it, welcome to the Element Optics family," and a QR code. If you scan this QR code, you'll be taken to the Nexus Gen II webpage where you can access specs, PDF downloads, and other media pertaining to this product. Beneath the top foam layer, you'll find a manual, you'll find a reticle guide, and you'll find an Element Optics sticker. If you're familiar with Element Optics manuals, this one is very similar, but you'll want to take some time reading it because the Nexus Gen II features a new turret system. The manual explains in detail how everything works. There's also info in here about the Platinum lifetime warranty and many other things. The reticle guide is a single sheet which details the reticle in your scope and gives some subtension data and runs through how we recommend using the reticle. Everything else is housed in this high density foam. Right at the top here, we've got the neoprene cover. This is a nice alternative to using flip caps on your scope. This essentially just stretches over the scope and not only provides some sort of weather protection to both the lenses, but also protects the turrets and the rest of the scope from bumps and scratches out in the field if you, let's say, hunting up in the mountains and take a bit of a slip. We have a 3-inch sunshade that we include. This is threaded on both sides to accept the aperture ring, which we include, and to accept Tenebrex flip caps, which we sell as aftermarket products. You could also, in theory, stack another sunshade in front of this, but 3 inches is more than enough in our experience. Talking about the aperture ring, this can be found in its own little box next to the sunshade, along with quite a few other accessories, so we'll go ahead and open this up. The aperture ring essentially reduces the objective diameter down to 35 millimeters. You may wonder why you'd want to do this. In a nutshell, it increases your depth of field and reduces chromatic aberration, but there are also some downsides to putting this on, and that's why we include it as an optional extra that you can take off or fit. We've done a whole video on the aperture ring, so if you're interested in how this actually works, look in the video description below. We run through this in detail. But this is threaded on both sides once again, so you can fit this between the scope and the sunshade, or you can put it at the end of your sunshade, or you can just put it on your scope without the sunshade. You can kind of do whatever you want with this. We've then got a lens cloth with a carabiner and little pod, so you can just keep this in your shooting bag and take it out when you need to clean your lenses. We've got a thread protector ring, and essentially what this is for is the Nexus Gen II has a capped windage turret, but if you want to run the turret exposed, you can do so, and you can just cover your threads with a thread protector ring, which not only helps to protect the threads from getting dirt in them or getting bumped and damaged, but it also makes the scope look like it doesn't even have threads. So it looks like a scope that isn't capped if you want to run it exposed. So it's nice to have that in the box. And then lastly over here, we've got a dummy screw to replace your throw lever if you don't want to run a throw lever. Sometimes a throw lever gets in the way of your bolt throw, or gets in the way of some sort of scope cam that you're using on the scope, or in the way of a bubble level. If you don't want to run the throw lever, you can simply unscrew it and screw this in using the included Allen key. And mentioning that, you may notice that there's only one Allen key here. The Nexus Gen 1 had 2 Allen keys. Well, that's because the Gen 2 has tool-free zero stop. The Gen 1 had tool-free turrets, but you needed to loosen and tighten 3 hex screws to set the zero stop. The Gen 2 has a new system where the zero stop automatically sets itself, which is awesome. That of course brings us to the scope itself. Now, as with all Element scopes, the Nexus Gen II comes with a inspection tag attached to it, which has a stamp or signature on it. This is to say that it's gone through all the inspection procedures which we implemented to meet our standards, and it's passed these tests. You'll also see that the throw lever over here and the windage cap are fitted to the scope from the factory. There's so much we could talk about here, but we're going to leave all the discussions about the features and specs to a separate product overview video. If you want to watch that, click the description below and it'll take you straight to that video. As always, thanks for checking this video out. You can visit our website at element-optics.com to see more information about these products and to learn about our Platinum lifetime warranty. Until then, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.